ओम श्री गणेश गुरुभ्यो नमः। Gururdevo, Gururdharmo, Guru Nishta Param Tapaha, which means the ultimate level of our devotion is at the feet of the Guru. Guru is our God. Guru is the one who leads us from ignorance to knowledge, from darkness to light. That is, he teaches us how to live this material life with full of virtuous values. One thing that we all need to have in our Guru is unflinching faith. Have faith that whatever he does is only in our interest, or rather a greater interest. To explain this, let's go to an example of an incident from two different lifetimes of the same individual and by two different incarnations of Lord Dattatreya. To explain this, we'll have to go to Pithapur. Pithapur or Pithikapur is in present-day Andhra Pradesh, and it is the birthplace of Shripad Shri Vallabha, who is the first incarnation of Lord Dattatreya. In Pithapur, there lived a learned scholar, Narsavadhani, who was a very elderly, aged person. Shripad Shri Vallabha and his family also lived in Pithapur, and Shripad Shri Vallabha was just a young boy when a certain incident happened here. Narsavadhani was learned, no doubt, but he was into a lot of tantric practices, as a result of which there were many events which were taking place in Pithapur which were not very favorable. Shripad Shri Vallabha advised him, though he was a young boy, he had knowledge because he was ultimately an incarnation. So he advised Narsavadhani, telling him that he should give up all these tantric practices because someday it would backfire on him. Also, he said it would have a very great karmic influence on him, not only in this lifetime but in lifetimes to come. Narsavadhani was a man who was pumped up with ego because he felt that he was too learned and he was a very great achiever in the tantrism. So who was this young boy to come and advise him? Narsavadhani's wife was a very great devotee of Shripad Shri Vallabha, and she knew that he was no ordinary boy, that he was an incarnation of Lord Dattatreya also. One day it so happened that some practice that Narsavadhani did backfired on him and he died. His wife came running to Shripad Shri Vallabha, begging him to revive her husband back to life. She said that I know that he has done many things which are wrong, but I am your pure devotee, so for my sake at least revive my husband back to life. After a lot of pleading and urging, Shripad Shri Vallabha said, it is okay, I will revive him back to life, but he will have to pay for all his karmic deeds, and you, being his wife, you will also have to bear the same karmas. She agreed to it, but she wanted her husband back to life. Shripad Shri Vallabha touched Narsavadhani on his forehead between the two eyebrows. Suddenly, Narsavadhani came back to life, and he also came to know about his karmic deeds. He realized that in further lifetimes he would have had to face many things because of the evil things, the practices that he did which were not favorable. Now it so happened that Shripad Shri Vallabha told Narsavadhani that I have revived you back to life. That does not mean that your bad karmas are burnt away. You have to face for whatever you have done, because as you sow, you will have to reap. But I'll give you one assurance, because your wife has been a very pure devotee and you have realized my strength or my potential because you have accepted me now as an incarnation. That is why I will come and relieve you of your karmic bad effects. He says you will be born in your next lifetime as a Brahmin, no doubt, because you have done a lot of learning and Vedic studies also in this lifetime. So you will be born as a Brahmin, but you will be a very poor person. You will have a family to manage and you will find it very difficult to feed your family. But I will come and relieve you at a certain time when all your karmas get burnt. Taking these words of assurance, Narsavadhani passed the remaining years of his life, and after some years he passed away. The incarnation changed. Nasya Saraswati comes to Gangapur, and one day as he is on his Bhiksha Yatra, that is around 12 noon in the afternoon, when he comes around the place of Gangapur and the neighboring villages for Bhiksha, that is for food, he visits the house of a very, very poor Brahmin. The other people in the village ask him, Guru, come to us. This is a very poor Brahmin's house. He has nothing to feed himself. Forget his family. Guru Narasimha Saraswati says, no, I want Bhiksha from this man only. He goes and calls out for the person of the house. The Brahmin's wife comes out, and on seeing Guru Narasimha Saraswati, she prostrates in front of him and tells him that she will give him something the moment her husband comes back with the Bhiksha. In just a few moments, the husband comes in, but he hasn't got much from his Bhiksha that day. And therefore he finds it difficult to feed his family, that is his children and his wife. He is actually a poverty-struck Brahmin. One thing is there, outside their hut, there is a creeper of the beanstalk. The beanstalk, or ghevda as you call it, the creeper has grown all over the house, the hutment that they stay in. And he says that I have nothing to feed to offer as bhiksha to you, Guru, but I have some beans from this particular creeper and I will offer it to you, because that's what we do when there is no bhiksha for us. We pluck a few beans from this particular creeper, we cook it and we have it. That's how I feed my family. He plucks a few beans from there and gives it to Guru Narasimha Saraswati. Guru blesses him, turns his back, uproots the entire creeper, throws it on one side and walks off from there. The Brahmin and his wife lament over their misfortune. They do not understand or comprehend the action of the Guru. They cry because that was the only source of food that they would have in case they would not get bhiksha the whole day. Now that also the Guru has uprooted and thrown away. Now what do I feed my family, laments the Brahmin. The wife, being a pious lady, she says, whatever the Guru has done, he has done it for our interest. Maybe there is some greater good thing that is going to come out of it. So let us not cry over our fate. This is our misfortune. We are paying for some deeds which we have done maybe in the past lifetime, and this is how we have to repay it. They both go to the place where the creeper is. They try to fix the creeper back. As they bring the creeper from wherever it has been uprooted, the plant has been uprooted, they bring that back and they try to put it back into the soil, when the Brahmin's hand touches something at the base of the mud, that is the hole which has been dug up there. He finds that it is some metallic thing, so he removes it and he finds it's a pot consisting of lots of gold coins. He and his wife are so happy on getting this pot of gold. They carry it inside their house and they do not know how to thank Guru Narasimha Saraswati. Now here there are two things to learn. One is, we normally are complacent with our lives. We do not like to take a risk. A true Guru tells you to uproot out those complacent things that we have in us, those things which we feel are enough, we are satisfied with ourselves. He says, no, there is something better for you, there is something of greater interest. He uproots that and throws it out, and then we realize we have something greater coming up from there. It may be our financial condition, it may be our emotional condition at that moment. We feel certain phases of life are really very sad, and we feel, how are we going to come out of it? A true Guru uproots out these and gives you, but of course you must have patience for it. So he gives you a pot of gold. This pot of gold is just symbolic, but he gives you the best, provided you have surrendered to him with full faith in him. Now here, one more thing to be kept in mind is, this poor Brahmin, poverty-struck Brahmin, Who was he? He was none other than Narsavadhani, who was there in Pithapur during the incarnation of Lord Shripad Shri Vallabh. At that time, Shripad Shri Vallabh had promised Narsavadhani, in spite of his evil practices and evil deeds, the Lord has promised him that I will come and relieve you of your misery, of your poverty in the next lifetime. But you must have patience. You have to go through whatever you have done. You have to bear the consequences of it. Once those consequences have been borne by you, once your karmas, the bad karmas are burned, then I will come and relieve you of it. This is what he promised as that avatar, and he fulfilled that promise in the avatar as Guru Narasimha Saraswati. So here 2-3 things to be kept in mind. The Guru relieves you of your misery, of your poverty, only when time comes. He doesn't interfere with your karma, because karma is something which you have to face. But he gives you the strength to face your karma, and that is a prayer at his feet, that please help us in our times of distress. Whatever we get from you, we consider it as your offering, your prasad, and we bow our heads at your feet. If we have total surrender at the Guru's feet, then obviously whatever deeds we do, whether good or bad, have no importance later on in life. It becomes a way of life to be always at the feet of the Guru and to surrender to him in totality. This has also been told that by Shiva Shankar to Parvati in the Guru Gita, that the Guru is greater than God. He says that karmic effects, the Guru can interfere. He has the authority to interfere in his disciples' karmic deeds, whether good or bad. He can reduce it. But he doesn't do it because he knows he does not want to play with the cycle of karma or cycle of nature. Shiva Shankar also tells Parvati a very important thing in the Guru Gita. Haro rushtre gurustrata, guru rushtre na kaschana. Means if God gets angry, the Guru can get you out of it. But when the Guru gets upset with you or he is angry with you, even the gods cannot relieve you from it. Such is the position of the Guru in an individual's life. So the 2 incarnations of Lord Dattatreya have proved to us that Guru is there for us. He helps us. He brings us out of our miserable times. He guides us throughout our life. But only at times we are blinded by wheel of Maya or illusion, or of the thought that we are the ones who are the doers and we are the ones therefore who have to face it. The doer is he, and the consequences though we have to face, he helps us, he holds our hand and brings us out of it. With this, our Guru Tattva series episode, which consists of this chapter of Guru Charitra, that is Narasimha Saraswati's instance which we have mentioned, this is the 18th chapter of the Guru Charitra which mentions this. From here we also know that karmic deeds never leave us, whether they are good or bad. Even if they are good, you have to come back to face all your good karmas, and if they are bad, obviously you have to face the bad consequences. They don't leave you even in lifetimes. So whatever you do is not limited to a lifetime or lifespan of just 80 years or 100 years. It is for lifetimes, it's going to go on. But one person who's common in all these things, who's leading you through it, is your Guru. Digambara, Digambara, Shripad Vallabh Digambara.